Okay, hey guys, my name is Kaylin Allen.
And my name is Mia Rawls.
This is our first virtual meeting that we're having. This will have to be how we communicate over the summer because a lot of you guys are going home. But when we all get back together, we'll definitely have face-to-face meetings. This is just something that works for the masses right now since we're separating out. The purpose of this meeting is to really just inform you guys of what the ideas we have going right now, the knowledge that we've gained from other individuals through these or over these past 2 weeks, as well as a little bit of background for Black Lives Matter and just overall what we want to do and what has already been done by the national movement as far as and our movement. So that's what we're going to do. So just a brief background on the national Black Lives Matter movement. Black Lives Matter was created in 2012 after George Zimmerman was acquitted for the murder of Trayvon Martin. That's what the catalyst was for this whole movement, was when that happened. And this is just a brief section from their website, which is blacklivesmatter.com, which you can go on. It's very nicely laid out and will give you all the background history, what they're currently working on, things like that. But just for a quick snippet, Black Lives Matter is working for a world where Black lives are no longer systematically and intentionally targeted for demise. We affirm our contributions to the society, our humanity, and our resilience in the face of deadly oppression. We have put our sweet equity and love for Black people into creating a political project, taking the hashtag off of social media and into the streets. The call for Black Lives to Matter is a rallying cry for all Black lives striving for liberation. So that's, of course, the model that we stand on as the branch of Black Lives Matter in Valdosta Lowndes County community. But we stand on that 100%, and that will never waver. Our individual mission statement for, like I said, the Valdosta Lowndes County community is we are Black Lives Matter. As the Black Lives Matter movement, we have to stand for lives of the minorities. With staying true to that, every action we take is to push for growth of our community. We are one of many movements of our kind. We have no other option but to transform the mindset of America in regards to the Black community and Black lives. We will achieve this by uplifting the community, encouraging our youth, and by tapping into the potential to enlighten the minds of all. That is our mission statement that we've come up with to lay down what we are going to do and how we're going to do it, just to give us a very defined road that we're going to take as far as this whole process.
That's right.
So that's basically the intro to everything. As far as the Valdosta Lowndes County movement for Black Lives Matter, we've come up with 4 principles that we are going to stand on and we are going to take to the next level in order to make this movement a successful and long-lasting movement. And just a kind of disclosure, if you will, Black Lives Matter is not only for Black people. It is a movement that is for Black people, though. But Black people are not the only ones that are allowed to participate, of course. Because we would like other races to stand with us to bring to light the injustice that's going on in our world. However, this is a movement that will not wait for the assistance or the rallying of other races. As a race, we will move alone if we have to. We just hope that we won't have to, but we're going to move regardless. So that's just a little disclosure for that. The 4 principles on which we stand are education, community, unity, and movement. We're going to give you a brief overview of what each section actually is and what it involves, as well as give you one of the plan of actions that we have, just kind of give you an example of how we're going to take these things. So the first one is education. And education, how we're going to do that is we have to truly tell the story of Black life in America. That is the thing that we have been fighting with the media, with really every news outlet that we have, is to tell the true story, to tell what it's like to be a Black person in America. And unfortunately, because we don't have, enough Black people that are speaking out on this and have enough pull in the media, if you will, to actually tell this story, we are taking it upon ourselves as a movement to get this story out. And like I was saying, as you can see, the media will warp what the world views as reality to fit their agenda and motives. We have an obligation to stand in the world, to stand with solidarity or in solidarity with trust at all times. Does not even Not even a sentence.
Well, what does that mean?
When
you wrote it down, what does it mean?
We have an obligation in the world to stand with solidarity, to stand in solidarity with the truth at all times. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
We can edit that. I know I can go in there. I'm just reading the thing. As you can see, the media will warp what the world views as reality to fit their agenda and motives. We have an obligation to the world to stand in solidarity with the truth at all times. One of the questions, and we'll kind of go into that a little bit when we talk about the agenda that Mia sent you all. We had a meet and greet on Saturday with various individuals of different groups from FAMU, FSU, Georgia State, Morehouse, and the biggest thing was they were asking is how are we going to take back the media, or how are we going to get the media on our side? And we didn't know. We have been thinking about that, and me and I, as well as the collective, we have been discussing what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. The only thing that made sense to all of us, since we're not going to be able to turn media, we're going to have to make our own. So Mia will tell you more so about the plan of action for our education principle.
Mm-hmm. Which is... Okay, because I wrote my own notes, but then I lost them. Okay. So, in creating the Black Lives Media or the Black Lives Matter media, we can work on finagling the name later on. But it involves a few things that essentially is equivalent to other media sources or companies that media people have. It involves making YouTube channels, or making a YouTube channel, a blog, a website, all those sorts of things, so that when things happen and things go down, in addition to the Black Lives Matter website, because they tell the story as well, but everything that we're doing, the Black Lives Matter future coalition, if you will, we'll be able to let everybody know what's going on, and when something happens in Valdosta, such as the flag demonstration, that whole fiasco, we'll be able to tell that story from our point of view. So it involves, like I said before, making a YouTube channel. It can be anybody within the group. We'll set it up beforehand so we know what we're talking about and the message that we're trying to say or send. We'll sit down, or we'll do whatever it is that we want to do, and we'll talk about certain things that need to be discussed. We can even come up with different projects, such as a documentary to really try to tell the story of Black life from our perspective, not only being a minority or Black student at Valdosta State, but just being a Black person or a Black student in general. The second thing is the blog. Blogs are not hard to incorporate once you have already started a media. That's actually the easier part. So we can do it on Tumblr. We can build a website in addition to the YouTube channel that acts as the blog. There can be, that's going to be the easy part, but that's going to be the crucial part as well, because blogs are a huge way to reach people, but it also has to be something that we constantly do and update all the time. So we have the media committees and the social media committees. That's where you guys are going to receive the most training and the most instructions when it comes to that aspect. YouTube channels, our website, the blog. What does it say? Essentially, to get the word. Yeah. So the goal is to create a strong media and technology platform to be able to tell our story at all times. Mm-hmm. So when something happens in another city, or when something happens in Valdosta, or anything like that, we'll be able to tell it from our perspective. But what we have to remember to stay true to is what's happening on our campus and in our community. So any plans, not just anything about any demonstrations or any police brutality or stand your ground situations, anything that we're involved
in that affects Black lives.
Yeah, anything that affects Black lives and our plans for the future will be associated with this media project.
Yeah. And hopefully you guys saw the link that was put in the group me. she's not a freelance reporter. She's a reporter that took it upon herself to actually, well, you heard in Baltimore when all the Bloods and the Crips and the other, there's another group, I don't know. When all the groups came together, the police reports were saying that they were coming together to kill police. That the only reason why these groups that are known to be separate, obviously, have come together was only for the murder of police officers. This reporter took it upon herself to actually seek out the members of these organizations and ask them what was really up between them. And she sat there and she let them tell their side of the story and let them tell that that's not what they were doing, and that the police and the news are trying to paint it from that it wasn't. So there's reporters out there that will tell the truth, but we have to build ourselves up enough to where even if we never get a reporter like that, we'll still be able to get the news out. Mm-hmm. But there are reporters that are out there, and there's even several of you all who are mass media majors and have a mindset to always tell the truth. And you guys are going to be assets when it comes to that too, because I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Melanie Thomas, but she wrote a story 4 hours after the initial incident happened. And she is the only one, to me, that has the most accurate information. Her story was not published for a reason. Mm-hmm. And so we have to take the media back. And just as back in the day you used to say, the revolution will be televised, we have to create our own television stations to do that. Otherwise, it will never be televised. So that's basically what we're saying for that. Community is next.
Okay. I'm sorry. I had lost my notes. Hers are better written anyways because my handwriting's terrible. When it comes to community, we have to attack multiple levels of uplifting our community. First, the community aspect is the group of Black and minority students on campus, and it's the Lowndes County community all around us. So what that involves is uplifting our community in regards to community service, and in regards to coming up with different initiatives and campaigns to support Black and minority business, or to support underprivileged communities, or the YMCA and different after-school programs, homeless shelters, food banks. It's really and truly about reaching out to those who need to be uplifted, who need the continuance of uplift. Excuse me. It's also in regards to campus, because there's not a harsh separation, but there's two different things that are going on within the community principle. What I just spoke about was uplifting the community around us and everybody who needs help, who wants help, who we will give help to. In regards to our campus, and in regards to really, high schools and middle schools, elementary schools around us, it involves reaching out to let these communities know what's going on, how they can get involved, why they want to be involved, and especially, the underclassmen that are on campus. We want to reach out to them to let them know that we're here for anything that they need, mm-hmm. and to really let them know that, at this stage in the game, you're an adult. We're all adults here. And it's to provide mentorship. It's to let them know that there is a big brother, and that there is a big sister, and big brothers and big sisters here. Sometimes we don't know where they might identify on the stance of Black Lives Matter, because when it comes to that aspect, which we'll talk about later, that's called base building. Base building is when you go and literally recruit people for your cause, but you do it on the ground. It's all about a hands-on tactic and approach to getting people to join your cause. So that involves going door to door or dorm to dorm, and letting people know, hey, this is who we are, this is what we stand for, we're having a meeting, we'd love to see you guys, and getting to know them, what's your name, what's your major, and all that kind of stuff. That's something that we'll be doing that involves community and the unity principle. But as far as community goes, we really want to let the underclassmen and different students know that even if you may not know a lot about us, we are still mentors at the same time. And there are organizations available, such as model mentors and tutoring programs and things like that. So that's the community aspect. And you were going to touch on the tactics for that, right?
Yeah. Okay. So for the plan of action for this principle, like she was saying, there's almost, if you will envision the center level of a bullseye. The center is you, of course. And then right outside of you would be the Blazer community, which is all of us that attend Valdosta State University. And then around that is the Lowndes County community. And then around that is the city of Valdosta. And then around that is Georgia. So we have to attack level by level, including the level with yourself. Once and a lot of you all have already made the decision, because obviously you're watching the video, you got the agenda, you want to be a part of this movement. Once you identify that with yourself, then you can then move on. However, we can't go any further than our Valdosta community if we don't bridge the gaps that we have on campus. And that's not even, it's not a white and a black gap, because there's a black on black gap, there's a white on white gap, there's a gap between students and administration. We're talking about entirely as a campus. Because the best way to fix the community, especially in a town that we are literally everybody that's in this city is either a local resident or us. And if we truly care, which we do, about the black lives, that includes every black life that lives in this community. And if we can't get together on the one accord in our own black life community of Valdosta State, then we're not going to be able to take that message any further, because we're still going to be combating issues that we have with one another. So that's going to be the biggest thing, is to create the unity, which is our third principle, amongst one another on campus. And our plan of action, we'll be working very closely with SGA on getting this put into action as far as the fall is concerned. We are going to put in action a VSU town hall. Essentially what that is every organization's president, as well as its members, as well as faculty members, will be in attendance at this meeting. It probably will be about we're aiming to have it once a month. And it basically brings everyone together, sits them down, we discuss issues, things that have gone well for the month, things that have gone not so well. As a student body, if we have any concerns that we want administration to hear from us, they would be able to hear, anything that's going on. It starts to build a sense of family, and it starts to build a sense of Blazer pride. Even though there's a lot of controversy right now on the resignation of our president, McKinney, we've had several conversations between the two of us and other leaders on this campus. We've had several conversations with President McKinney, and his biggest goal while he was president was to instill a sense of Blazer pride. And because that's something that we lack as a university, and we have, unfortunately, for a while. And with Blazer pride comes family. We can't have pride in our university and only claim 60% of our university, or only claim our athletic department. We have to claim each other to truly have pride in our school. So that's something that we are really going to focus on building for the betterment of our campus, for up-and-coming Blazers, and before we all leave, to have an enjoyable last year or two, or three, depending on what class you're in. But we haven't had the best unity, as far as how long we've been here. And we want to leave and it be on the up and up. We want to leave it to where there could be a legacy continued, so that they won't have to keep doing what we are all trying to do today. So that's where we're going to start. So that VSU town hall meeting will be a pride environment. It will be a sense of building each other up. That way, when we take our movement to the community, and we take our movement to the city of Atlanta, or the city of whatever city we pick to go to, that way when we come, we're coming correct. We're coming together, and we're coming with the backing of a university, not just the backing of 7 or 8 organizations that see eye to eye. We have over 200 organizations on campus, with anywhere between 20 members to 100 members. And then all of the other students who are not in organizations are still there as well. So there's plenty of places on campus for people to identify, and we need to all identify under the at least minimum of being a Blazer, just to unify us all on one principle of being a Blazer. Once we can do that, then we'll be able to take this movement to the next level. So that's what we'll be working on over the summer, is to getting things in place of how it's going to run, how we're going to make organizations accountable for actually attending these town hall meetings, who is going to run it, how long they'll be, locations. We're going to get all that figured out this summer. Like I said, we'll be working with SGA, because SGA does have a town hall meeting. They do theirs once a semester, and that is perfectly fine, and we are not trying to overrun that, but we do feel like in the state that our university is in right now, we need to pick it up a notch as far as frequency of these meetings. We are also going to be working to unite organizations even outside of the town hall meetings. We're trying to work to get a system put together to where we all start to know each other. Right. Once we all start to know each other, it's a lot harder for you to be distant or segregated, if you will, from someone you know their name. If you don't know me as Kaylin, it may be easier for you to turn a cold shoulder to me because there's no emotional connection at all. But even if you know my name, that's still a step in the right direction to where you might think twice about not giving me a second thought. You know, so that's what we're trying to make that connection here on campus. So that's community is going to be the biggest thing that we focus on this summer, because in order for us to get our movement out to the Lowndes County community, we have to tackle it on campus. Mm-hmm. So, and we want to do that very quickly. So that's going to take a lot of help. And I don't know if you guys can kind of see where we're going with these principles, but there are a lot of different ways to participate and be a part of this movement. A lot of people don't want to be on the streets marching. A lot of people don't want to have signs in their hand or be exposed to, you know, the potential dangers of anything when it comes to protesting. We understand that, but we have a whole news, you know, station that we want to run. We have a whole community that we want to build. We want to have town hall meetings. There, you will find your place when it comes to Black Lives Matter movement. So, as you can see, there's a lot to be done, and you know, we don't want to be spread too thin, so we're going to need as many people as possible. So don't think you have to be on the front lines yelling and screaming. If you want to be behind a camera, trust and believe, we really do need you. So I just wanted to stress that while I was thinking about it.
And that's going to come up later as well, in the movement principle. We'll talk more about that as well.
Okay. I think that's it for community. Okay. So the next principle is unity. And with community and unity, it kind of goes back and forth because the sense of community comes from the sense of unity. However, it's still important enough to have it as a separate principle. Unity is essential to any movement. If we're not on the same page, then it will jeopardize the message of our movement when it comes to the goals in Valdosta and for the national Black Lives Matter movement across the world. That's a really big thing. And as you can tell in the group meet, you know, we all have very different opinions on a lot of things. But the one thing that we do all agree on 100% is that Black Lives Matter. Yes, all lives matter, but at this very moment in time, Black lives are the ones that are being systematically and intentionally, you know, discredited, erased, eradicated, whatever words you want to use. We are the ones under attack right now. So, yes, all lives matter. But right now it's about Black lives, and for a very long time it's been about Black lives, and and hopefully with this movement, Black lives will always matter, but hopefully it won't be in the movement of because we keep getting killed. That's the purpose of this. Even right before we recorded this meeting, we received news of a second shooting in Baltimore. So it's an everyday battle that we're in, and we don't really have any other option, like I was saying in the beginning, but to stand in solidarity with the truth and to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters. So we kind of don't have a choice when it comes to unifying, which is why it's one of our principles. The plan of actions for unity. Do you want to talk about freedom? Oh, I'll talk about Freedom Fridays. You do Block Party? Yeah. Okay. So Maya Newsom is a author on our campus. If you're not familiar with her, her book is called Things I Wrote by the Window. It's an amazing compilation of all her wonderful works. You have to read it.
Poems and stuff.
Yeah, her poems are amazing. If you've heard her speak in person, then you know she's a very powerful speaker. She started Freedom Fridays, which was a movement to support the KJ family, or Kendrick Johnson, in their efforts to get the truth of his murder as well. That will be something that we're just going to continue to strive and to back, because justice has not been served when it comes to KJ, and they are still, fighting for even the smallest amount of truth to come out of all of this. So that's something that we're going to continue to support. But our new initiative or plan of action, Mia will go into detail about.
Okay. We're going to have a block party, or a black block party. The name on that is going to be further developed too. It's actually pretty cool. We got this idea at it happened on April 25th, the community forum called Where Do We Go From Here? Huge thanks to Dre Jones, Volia Smith, Cameron Copeland, Melanie from FAMU, The Dream Defenders, Tyler Barker,
Avery Jackson from Morehouse.
Avery Jackson, Pastor Adrian Rivers of Kingdom Deliverance Center, Ariel, Marie, and Brian from Atlanta, and the hashtag and Jamesia from the hashtag It's Bigger Than Us movement out of Atlanta. They've given us a lot of knowledge and tactics and things like that. But this one, under the unity principle, is the Black Bloc Party, and it's several weekends throughout the semester or the year. We plan to kind of have like a street shutdown, which is a block party, but we'll find a really big street and area within the legal rights and limits, people. Mm-hmm. And shut down and have a party for the community. We'll collaborate
with our 200 plus organizations on campus.
Oh yeah, it's with the other organizations on campuses, or on this campus, and different businesses and nonprofit organizations around the community to help spark pride and love within the community. So that's going to be, I mean, just picture it. It's a big block party, and somewhere in the middle of the block party where we see it swarm with a lot of people, we'll stop and say, hey, hope everybody's doing okay. One of the sponsors for this event is the Lowndes County chapter of the Black Lives Matter Coalition. And if you would like more information, there's a chart going, or there's charts going around, and put your name, phone number, email address in it, and blah, blah, blah. So that's one of another thing that we have planned among many things. Because a lot of people, now that we're about to move into the movement section, a lot of people
want to know what we're actually gonna do.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go to now. Go.
A lot of like you were saying, a lot of people are wondering what are you gonna be able to see as far as the media taking pictures, or the news coming down, with our signs and stuff like that. That's a lot of people are worried about that, and that's very important.
The chart, the strategy chart, real
quick. The last meeting that we had, that she was referring to on Saturday, the movement and Black Lives Matter movement isn't a movement. It's not a sad movement by any means. It's a movement of progression. It's a movement of love. It's a movement of unity. It's a movement, not a moment. So moments can be sad, but movements cannot be, because they won't last. You cannot have a long lasting movement based off an emotion, based off of love, or based off of fear, or based off of anger, or things like that. That won't keep your movement going forth. Exactly. It won't. The best thing for a movement is the happiness part of it, because we're fighting for Black lives because they've been stolen. But we still have so many Black lives to celebrate, and to make sure they go to college, and make sure they get their education, and they can, do what they want to do in this life, in our world, in our society. So that's what we're carrying this movement on. We're carrying this on a high, very high pedestal. And just as much as we value our life, we value this movement. So by no means is it supposed to be a depression movement. So we will have the block parties are going to instill that, like she was saying, the pride and the love back in the community from us, from the Blazer community to the Valdosta Lowndes community. They need to know that we support them, and that we thank them for opening up their city to us, for us to come here. They didn't ask for our university to be built, and sometimes, universities don't necessarily benefit the community around them, and in our case, it doesn't. Our money is our money, and the community money is their money. So you know, it would be decent of us as Blazers to give back and to give them a reason to, you know, truly be happy to live in Valdosta again, you know, just in case they have lost that. So that's still a little spiel for that. The last but not least, of course, principle of Black Lives Matter movement is the movement principle. Movement is what the world will see. Point blank, period. Those are when you see the streets of Baltimore being shut down. That's movement. That is people literally standing together and moving in the cause, for some cause. These are the statement demonstrations, protests, and so on. Whether it's silent sit-ins, die-ins. There is another tactic that we'll talk about as far as restaurants. There's a sit-in, if you will, for restaurants. Those are public demonstrations of, if you will, I guess publicly rebellious but lawful demonstrations, if you will. The principle of movement is to draw attention to the world, or of the world, to the issues that this country has, which right now is the lack of respect or appreciation of Black lives in our community. Every movement-based event will be planned out very strategically to be as effective and lawful as humanly possible. We are not a movement that is for getting arrested however we know it will happen because of, you know, just in general things. People get arrested for the craziest things. KJ's family was arrested for nothing, essentially. So I don't think we're going to be immune to that either, especially if we draw big crowds, which we will. So, but you know, the things that movements do are what we have to do as a movement. They just make sense. You know, we can't continue to be Black Lives Matter if nobody will pay attention. We have to do things like this for that. Now, movements are essential and are mainly in consequence of something. So, for instance, like in Baltimore, after the murder of Freddie Gray, the streets were filled with people as consequence. Now, that's mostly what our movements are for, that purpose, in consequence of. We did movements and silent protests in consequence of the murder of KJ. We will do movements and you know, protests and for, you know, the wrongful treatment of EJ on our campus. We will do things like that. However, there's no expiration on the wrongful things that are done. So just as something may have happened 2 months ago doesn't mean that when month 3 hits, we've lost our time, or we've lost our, I guess, time frame, if you will, to demonstrate. There's no such thing as an expiration on a wrongful anything in this community. So we never forget the wrongs we've seen. So we will move as often as required. So every month, I would say, if not more, when everybody gets back in full in the semester, we will move very often.
And that's in addition. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
That's in addition to of everything else that we're doing. You know, because this movement is not all cookies and rainbows. Neither is it all bloodshed and heartbreak, even though that is a major part of it. When we do these demonstrations and these protests, it's out of reaction to something, but it's also necessary. We have to continue to do these things because this is a social movement. This is a political stance. You know, not necessarily political party, but this does have to do with politics because there's police and legislation involved. So when we do these demonstrations, like Kaylin said earlier, they're going to happen as necessary as possible, but we're going to focus on innovative ways to come up with new demonstrations and come up with different things that we can do to spread our message. We're going to come up with ways that have not been seen before, or if they have been seen before, there are numbers behind it. So it's extremely captivating.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So yeah, everything that she said is exactly how we will do movements. The plan of action, and Mia will talk about this. We're calling it Operation Shut It Down. And that's that's at least one title that we have gotten
right
in place, y'all.
On the last, okay, so we sent everybody the agenda. In this agenda, the things that are typed in the numbers 1 through 26, and then the goals 1 through 5. You can read that on your own time, and if you have questions, then comment below in the comment section, and then me and Kayla will get back together tonight, and we're going to do our best to post a video tonight. YouTube is kind of giving us a bit of a difficult time, but I won't go there. So
this is why we need our own media outlet.
Yeah, because it's very annoying. So on the last 2 pages, there's a chart. And as far as the movement principle goes, I'm going to go through the tactics very quickly. But before I do that, I want to explain what each of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 headings mean. There's goals. And the goals are, what do we want to get out of this entire movement? Whether we want to see a change next week, next month, 10 years. All of them within reason are our goals. So I'll give you one example. One of our goals is to turn Black Lives Matter GroupMe into an official coalition for the Lowndes County, for Lowndes County. That's not hard. That's going to happen in the next few weeks or few months. We're going to be working with all the people that we need to work with, from this to go to dropping GroupMe meetings to having an official Lowndes County chapter, just like NCNW has a local chapter, or NAACP, or 100 Black Men. Excuse me. That's just one of our goals. And another one of our goals, which goals and tactics really go hand in hand. Another one of our goals is to make Black-owned businesses more prevalent in Lowndes County. We'll get to that in a second, but that's just an example of a goal. Organizational considerations. Who and what do we have that's going to help us to our advantage when it comes to our goals and to our tactics? Who and what do we have that we can use to our advantage, and that's going to help us receive the knowledge, and that's going to nudge us in our side to say, you might want to do that, or that's going to give us a pat on the behind and say, y'all need to hurry up and do this and think about this. An example of this is the 100 Black Men's chapter in Valdosta. The 100 Black Men's chapter in Valdosta is absolutely amazing. What they're focused on is a lot of community outreach with young Black men and Black boys, and they have chapters all across the country. But we would reach out to them in community service aspects, and just to really pick their brains, because the men in those chapters, they're councilmen, they're pastors, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're teachers, and any profession that you can think of. And we're really big on education. That's why we have an education principle. And so any type of assistance or help that we need, and when we don't know where to go, that's what they'll be there for. In addition to the fact that a lot of those men have ties to the university, or have ties to, they might have children who go here and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to be a crucial part. Another organizational consideration that I put in red is deferring ideologies. If something is in red, then it's a caution. It's a red flag. Deferring ideologies, which means the way that you and someone else may think, that's going to hold us back if we let it. Now, here's the thing. The definition of an ideology is the way that a group or an institution or a organization thinks. It's their stance on some sort of personal issue.
And just to make it clear, the ideology of Black Lives Matter movement is that Black Lives Matter.
Period.
It doesn't matter how you get to that conclusion, but Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
It's just, and I believe, was it attorney, it might have been attorney Carla Walker, that said, my mom taught me that 2 + 3 = 5. And my mom taught me that 3 + 2 = 5. Or that 4 + 1 = 5. Or however you get to 5, it's still 5. Mm-hmm. So Black Lives Matter is what's important. And that is the only thing to keep on your mind right now. Everything else, we are people, and we will always uplift each other regardless of what we think. But for the movement's sake, we have to just focus on the fact that Black Lives Matter no matter what.
Exactly. So however you think the Black community has to move forward. If it's not on this platform that we have all laid down, because it's not. This hasn't been just me and Kaylin coming up with all these things. There's been people from Tallahassee and from Atlanta and from Macon and from all these different cities in Georgia who have come together to help all of us reach this conclusion, including the people who may not even be in the collective, who have come to these meetings and dedicated themselves to reaching the next level. Yeah. So we've come up with this with everybody's thoughts in mind. But I have a good example when it comes to these ideologies. Let's say that me and Kaylin are both making lemon pound cakes. Right? So I use butter because I think that the cake is going to be more moist and more rich. But Kaylin is going to use vegetable oil versus butter because it's healthier, and she doesn't think that the butter makes much of a difference. We wouldn't go back and forth about using butter or using vegetable oil, because it's going to be a pound cake at the end of the day, and we both have skills in using butter versus vegetable oil.
And if you wait too long and arguing over butter and oil, the cakes are going to burn.
Yep. Or they're not going to even be made in the first place. It's still going to be sitting separated.
Yeah,
so,
and we don't want that. We have to move with the movement. The movement has to move. So we can't stay and get stuck on ideologies, get stuck on, well, I feel like this and I feel like that. We all feel a lot. But people like Freddie Gray can no longer feel. And that's a problem in our world.
Exactly.
And that will always trump how you feel, since you get to feel. So.
Yeah. So that's an organizational consideration that could work against us. So we'll develop this chart as the months and the years goes along. We'll add things and take things away, especially our goals. If we check off a goal, then it doesn't have to be there anymore. We'll edit the chart. But anything else that could hurt us, that's an organizational consideration, but it will always go in red. The next column, which is the third out of 5 columns, is constituents, allies, and the opposition. And I color-coded these as well. Constituents are the people who we are working for, and we are on their side, and we are protecting them, and we're doing this for them, which is the Black community, Atlanta Black Lives Matter, but it's Black Lives Matter across the country, all those chapters, and Black organizations. So the Black community, that's Black students from Valdosta State or from Lowndes or Valdosta High or YMCA or any of those. Oh, the Boys and Girls Club. I keep saying YMCA. Both of those, but more specifically the Boys and Girls Club. That community, and those are in green. The allies, which are people who are working with us as well as we're working with them, is the Albany State's chapter of NAACP, Morehouse, FAMU, Florida State, the Florida Coalition to Keep Guns Off Campus. And that's important because there were a group of students who felt like guns shouldn't be on campus. So instead of complaining and using social media, they gathered all their skills together and they created a coalition. They created an actual organization to become well-versed in media and law and legislation and all these things to keep guns off their campuses, and they were successful. Some more allies are, it's bigger than us, the hashtag out of Atlanta, and I'll name one more or two more. The college Republicans are our allies because they believe that all lives matter, but they understand why we're focused on the Black lives, and they're willing to help in certain areas. And in PHC, they're all allies. Opposition, that's in red as well. We had to do a lot of modifications with that because the area of who's against us that involves some ideologies as well. But for now, we have some obvious ones like the Ku Klux Klan, different white supremacist groups, and anonymous social media attackers. One of the oppositions that we had on here initially, but we had to modify and remove for now, are the bars in Rimerton. Now, we don't know who owns those bars. We don't. Nobody who owns those bars, who manages the bars, has never done anything offensive. And right now, we cannot focus on taking away from them because, it is a place in Valdosta for undergrads or different people to go to have fun and let off steam. Now, granted, there are things that we could do, but for now, that's something that we're going to have to further analyze before we can decide if they are an ally or an opposition, because we just simply don't know at the moment. Next is 4 out of 5 targets. The targets are the people that we need to reach in order for them to understand our position and what exactly we're saying and what we want to do and what are our goals in this whole chart. So I'll name just a few. The 5 that come to mind.
They can read this chart by themselves.
I know. I'm sorry. 5 that come to mind are SGA, the administration, faculty senate, board of regents, and the interim president. Those are the people that we need to make sure that we reach at all times so that they understand how we feel and why we feel this way. And then Brian Childress is the police chief. Last, and I hope I went through that quickly. If you don't want to hear all this, then you can skip it. The tactics. You can read it in the email. Last, well, I had to explain it to him. Just at least the top. Well, y'all, I went through all of it. So it's not like y'all not gonna ask.
Right, just we work with us. We're trying to give y'all all the information that we think so we don't leave nobody in the dark. But
right,
we're gonna give y'all our emails and our numbers. Text us, call us, email us. If you have any questions, we are here 24/7 for y'all.
Okay, next, and I won't name all of these because some of them we went through in the principles, are the tactics. Tactics is, what are we going to do exactly?
Do shut it down because we talk about it
yet. Yeah. What are the tangible and the actual plans are we trying to do to send forth our message? And I'll go ahead and talk about, where is it on here?
Shut it down.
Here it is. Operation Shut It Down. I know that everyone has seen the hashtags. Every time something happens in another city where there's a police brutality or trigger happy gun holder situation, there are shutdowns. There have been shutdowns in St. Louis and in Ferguson, and there's currently what's going on in Baltimore, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and all over California. There's been some in Florida, in Orlando, and just various cities. So Operation Shut It Down
for Valdosta.
Am I telling them what it means and what we're doing?
I mean, you might as well.
Okay. So Operation Shut It Down is, and it has to be a lot of us. I'm talking about, it has to be minimum
3,000.
I wouldn't say that much.
Yeah.
3,000 people?
3,000.
Kaylin say 3,000. I say about 400.
You gonna shut down the whole street with 400? You can, but I want to make a statement. I want lines of people all the way back. Like, I want us to walk halfway down the street, and we still got people trying to come on the street.
Okay.
I want to shut it down.
Well, thousands of people, essentially. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Because just how quickly those folks rallied with their thousands.
That's true.
What they thought was going to be thousands. I want to have thousands.
Okay. So, yeah, and that's going to take a lot of base building and time, but it's going to happen. Period.
But it's not just us alone, you guys. Like, everybody that we met on Saturday, their coalitions are coming whenever we have movements, they're coming down here. So the Black Lives Matter movement from Atlanta, they're coming. The Black Lives Matter movement that started in California, the women are going to come to support us, and they're going to bring everybody they can with us. Then it's going to be us. Then it's going to be the community. Then it's going to be all of our friends from the coalition, from FAMU, FSU, Georgia State. All of people are coming. So yeah, we have already a huge support system, like a vast support system. So where all we have to do is get our stuff together, y'all.
Right.
And the people will come to support us.
So what it is we'll indistinctively, incognito kind of meet somewhere. Like, we'll meet, I don't know, in the Union, as if we're just meeting to have lunch or do whatever. And at a certain time, we will all swarm Baytree Road.
And just walk out.
Yeah, just walk out of wherever we're going, and we're just going to walk out and stand literally in the middle of the street.
Now, it's a lawful demonstration. We will have a permit. I've already started making phone calls and getting the correct chain of command when it comes to getting a permit. But it will be completely legal what we're doing. But we're not doing it to offend. We're doing it to bring attention.
Because it sends a message. Because when I first had the idea about shutting it down, I was nervous about it, but I knew it was necessary. And I think talked to Dre about it because that's one of his tactics that he's a big fan of, and what it is I was thinking about, well, what about the people who have to go to doctor's appointments or who are going to be late for class and this and that and the third. It sounds harsh, but we don't care about that. We don't care about the people who may be stuck in traffic while we're shutting it down, or we don't care about the people who are distracted and who may be late to wherever they're going, because the families of Kendrick Johnson and Mike Brown and Freddie Gray and Trayvon Martin and Eric Garner and all of these people that I cannot even remember at the moment, their lives are forever inconvenienced because of the lack of humility and respect that was not shown for them. Their lives are inconvenienced every day. You all have seen the corpse of Kendrick Johnson and how it's similar to Emmett Till. That is the image that is ingrained in his mother and his father's face and his sister forever. That keeps them up. That's an inconvenience because he didn't die. He was murdered. He is gone on to glory. It's an inconvenience because their flower was plucked from them. That's your phone died. I know most of the rest of them. That's an inconvenience to them. So it's not evil for evil. It's not like we're trying to show people the same inconvenience, but it's to send that message of these families are having similar feelings to what you're having, but much more amplified. So you're feeling pissed off because you can't come to class, but you also see our signs and you hear what we're saying. But essentially, this is in a nutshell how these families feel. They feel inconvenienced. They feel broken. They feel messed up. They feel heartbroken. So that's one of our tactics, and then we're going to further develop on that. That's going to take a few months, but it is happening. That is a tactic, and we're going forward with it. Another tactic that we have to further demonstrate the fact that our movement is not only just about demonstrations is the Black Business Initiative. And that's my little personal project that I'm working on now. And what it is we're going to seek out Black businesses in Lowndes County. So that's dry cleaners, hair salons, nail salons, barbershops, restaurants, insurance, independent insurance companies, anything you can think of. Just, people, t-shirt companies.
Anything Black owned in Valdosta is a target.
Exactly.
For this. And that's so we can build them up so things like the Black Bloc Party can happen.
Exactly.
And everybody can start to become aware. Because, as we all know, there was a Black Wall Street. Mm-hmm. And so if we can instill the pride of shopping with our own as much as we possibly can, because we know we don't own huge grocery stores. Mm-hmm. But if we can at least start to get the money back to some of our businesses in this community, that's the first step to everything. Mm-hmm. So,
and how we're gonna do that, it is hot in here, sorry. How we're gonna do that is it's going to be a major social media campaign. So there'll be a lot of us doing some groundwork to get their information and, so we can get their phone number, their address, and, creatively figure out how we want these flyers to look. But there'll be social media flyers created for all these businesses, and it'll just be like a constant thing like, hey, it's Saturday, or it's Saturday night or Sunday night football, Saturday night football, and Big Nick's is on Bay Tree Road. Hop over there and get some wings. And then in return, as soon as these businesses start making money out of appreciation, there come discounts for students, and we can get free wings, or we could get our groceries from some sort of grocery store, $10 off your total price, or when you go to the dry cleaners, if you bring in 3 pairs of slacks, you get the fourth pair of slacks pressed for free. So there are benefits to it, but we're not focused on our benefits. It's strictly to uplift these communities and rebuild Black Wall Street. Her phone died. What's another tactic that we should just mention super quick? The KJ rally, or no, because that's on the flyer.
Okay. I think this will be the last one. I don't know if any of you have heard kind of the switch on EJ's protest. It's a social media campaign. Basically, it's called Walking Behind EJ / Standing on Oppression / whatever else it's been or we've been thinking about calling it. Basically, what it will do is it will bring to light the real reason why EJ was stepping on the flag, which, for those of you that do not know, he was stepping on a flag that represent the lies and the systematic extermination of our people across time. Not the, red, white, and blue and, hope for America. That's not how he sees the American flag. So that's not what he was stepping on. He was stepping on the lives that have been lost. He was stepping on the fact that so many murders have been covered up within police departments in various cities. He was stepping on the fact that our government literally okays the murder of our people repeatedly. That's the thing that he was stepping on. So we are going to essentially take those things and put them in words. So unfortunately, the ignorant public or the misinformed by the news public will get a better understanding of what we're actually standing on when we stand on the flag. So we will do things like, in my head, when I was first thinking of the idea, to make a life-size flag, a very large-size flag, and we will piece together different either murals that people have drawn, words that people have written around the community, around our campus, and we will staple or tape or however we will get it together to become a real flag. We will then take this flag somewhere, parade this flag somewhere, and then as a student, as a movement, we will stand on the things that we do not see or we do not stand for, we will stand on the things that our country is standing behind, by not doing more to eradicate the wrongs. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the movements that we're planning on doing as well. And that kind of falls into the category of unity and movement and education, because it's educating the real story of EJ. It's, unifying us to come together to make that flag, and it's moving, to get the media to pay attention to what we're actually trying to do. So mm-hmm. kind of three things in one when it comes to that one. So that's one of the tactics that we're also planning. And that will be more so planned out over the summer as well. So that can be, I think we're trying to do that maybe one of our comeback movements when everybody gets back from summer vacation. So that's one of our, that's the last top tactic that we'll kind of talk about. That whole chart is attached to the agenda. If you didn't get it, comment your email below. We will send it to you as soon as possible. We will have, like we said earlier, we will have meetings in person. Obviously, we have to. But we're hoping to become a very large movement, very large organization. And right now, the last meeting we had about 50 people in it, and we were cramped into a room in Centennial. So, we have to house a lot of us too, but we need to at least get the people to house. I'd rather have 200 people, jammed in somewhere than have, a huge room for 50 again. So we really want you guys to spread this video, send it to whoever, let them know that the Black Lives Matter movement in Valdosta is picking off the ground again. We're rebuilding, what we've lost in the past. And
because
it's only, and don't forget, it's only been 2 weeks for us as a school since everything has happened. It hasn't even been 2 weeks. It has been. This will be week 2.
Yeah. No, we're going on week 3.
Okay, week 3. So it's been less than a month.
Yeah.
And we've made tremendous headway as far as, our base building and groundwork is concerned. We will do the same over the next few months before we get back in August. But my contact information, my name once again is Kaylin Allen. My email address is kallallen@valdosta.edu. My phone number is 229-292-7799. If you would, just text me if you have any personal questions that you don't want to post on social media or on the YouTube channel. If you want to be a part or help, or you've heard something in the video that you're good at, such as either media production or or news anchoring or anything like that, flyer making.
In addition to the committees that we formed.
Yeah, in addition to committees that we've already established, you can also contact me for that, so we can put you in direct contact with people that are over those committees, as well as anything else. That's my contact information.
Mine is, my email is mv as in Victoria, Rawls, RAWLS @valdosta.edu. And if anyone needs my number, hopefully you're in the group me, because I think I'm getting a new phone and the number is going to change. Like, I really have no idea. Yeah. So we'll just work it out from there. If you see me, I'll just give you my number. And if it changes, then all my numbers will be switched over. If you need anything from me, from Kaylin, from both of us, whomever, or anybody else in the collective as well, Ashley Mansfield to Melanie Thomas, Nia Love, Miles Guilford, Jocelyn. We're missing a lot of Lauren Sims. We're Kenya, Simbi, Dami,
Dante,
yeah,
Lewis.
All those people. If you need any of us, we're here for you. Just give us a call or holler. And also one more thing, super quick. We are Kaylin will be in Valdosta. I'll be in Atlanta. So when we have meetings, there's a possibility that we'll still have in-person meetings, but I'll be Skyped in. So if you go to a meeting concerning the Black Lives Matter movement / Future Coalition, then bring your laptop so that you can Skype in people who won't be in Valdosta or who can't make it. You know, if you have an iPhone, you can FaceTime them in. That's all I have to say.
So leave any questions in the comments below. If you are not a part of our GroupMe and you have no way to access our movement, leave your email address so we can add you to our email list so we can start getting you in the loop. A website is in the works. That way, that will be the official way of communication for everything that we need. You guys will be able to get in contact with us very quickly. But bear with us while we get that. But questions, comments, concerns, if you want to add to anything, if you have any ideas, if you have something that you don't like, we want to hear it all. So please go ahead and comment below. We appreciate you guys attending our first virtual meeting. We love you all so much. And don't forget that united we stand, divided we fall, and Black lives will always matter. We love y'all.
Ooh.